Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to our PDO's LinkedIn Live. Here we talk about the account-based sales revolution, and with us today, Morten Junge, the man, the myth, the legend, and I can see today also fashion icon. Morten, let me kick it off with a compliment. I love the outfit. The blue sweater, the white shirt, the glasses, amazing.
What does that tell about the two of us? I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't know, but I love the partner look.
Is maybe you're a secret son of mine that I don't know
Who
about?
knows? Who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah. Okay.
We'll see in a couple of years when my hairstyle is similar to yours. But Morten, jokes aside, it's a big pleasure to have you here. I know you're super busy, so thank you very much for making the time, and for talking with us. I would suggest we have a brief introduction from your side for the audience. You are co-founder of the sales enablement platform Presenters. You're a founder of Let's Change Sales. You are co-founder of the Sales Enablement Society. So you're wearing many hats, and maybe you can give us a bit of an introduction to these roles. It seems to me you're all about sales. Is that correct?
Well, first you need to know very brief about my background. So I used to work after my study. I used to work in by coincidence in sales with Oticon internationally, living in Germany. Wanted to move towards marketing. Worked in marketing for many years, and to be honest, it's I have marketing and sales in my bloodstream, and to me, there's so much to benefit from joining sales and marketing, and I would love sales and marketing to fall in love with each other. So I'm very much about sales, but I'm even more about getting sales and marketing to work together because there's so much to gain from that.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And one part of your vita I would like to double click on is the Let's Change Sales consultancy, because I think it's very relevant also for the discussion we're having later. You're helping companies to go digital in sales. Can you maybe explain us how does that work, and what is it about?
Well, the short story would be that yes, it's my main role is to help mainly B2B customers see the potential in using going digital. Digital has been something that marketing knows a lot about in many areas within business. Going digital is logical. In sales, we are very traditional, but that's stupid. We can use it to our benefit. And the way I think of digital is maybe not so much as what others would say. Others would say a lot about digital means data, means data-driven and stuff like that. Personally, I don't believe in that. Data-driven is nonsense in sales unless you go fully digital, making people allow them to buy themselves, which is fine. But data can motivate you, but it starts with something else. It starts with digital should enable you to do stuff much better, smarter, make it more interesting. So you should start by looking at digital to see, can digital help me do something more fantastic that empowers me to do stuff better? Can digital help me to do it more efficiently as well? If you succeed with that, you'll make people use your tools, and then you'll get data. But start with the benefits from it, start with the productivity aspect of it, and then you get the rest for free.
And of course the digital part of sales is kind of the red thread of this session, and let's dive into the topic of today, and maybe to give the audience a bit of a background. We've met at the Set Sales Conference, one of the leading sales conferences here in the Nordics, and you were on stage with leaders from Salesforce, from Microsoft and others, and you were also discussing about toolbox the toolbox for sales teams and for B2B sales teams. Could you walk us through your key takeaways from these discussions? And I think you've prepared something, so please take over the screen. Please be free to share.
Yeah, thank you. But maybe as a starting point, I mean, having Salesforce and Microsoft there as the big players, and then also some not so big players on scene was quite interesting, and we had a very I think a very good dialogue there. Is there one answer to it? I don't think so. But I mean, everybody agrees that it's not about the toolbox as such. It's about the toolbox and deploying it to make it work. And there's still a lot to do beyond the toolbox itself about deploying it, implementing, and we're going to talk about that later on today. So everybody aligns on that. But very soon, actually, the discussion often comes into data anyway. It comes into how can we deploy that or use that. So there were talks about applied AI and stuff like that. So things will happen, right? Also with AI to make things even smarter. But my own take is based on that, but also what I experience in the daily work I have with both small and major B2B companies. And I try to, I'm a kind of a visual guy, so I try to put it into a framework to give some kind of an overview, and I would love to share that and walk that through with you. Is that fine?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I'm very excited to see the framework.
Okay. Let me know if it gets on screen. Are we fine?
Something's loading. Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So the basic idea, this should, I like to draw, but I'm not a good drawer. But this should assemble a toolbox, right? So I just want to set the scene first. So before you make a toolbox, naturally, there are some things you need to have in place first. So maybe I should see if I can look more into it. You need to have clarified about your sales philosophy and sales strategy. You need to have some kind of a lineup of your organization and stuff like that before you even talk about a toolbox. In this sense, in this session, my kind of focus and area of competence is within when it's more complex selling, consultative selling. So I'm not talking about simple sales or transactional sales. This would be a totally other toolbox, okay? But before we start talking about the toolbox, naturally, you need to know about your strategy and so forth on that. The second part I would like to highlight is that I put a chord here because I think we should think digital, right? So we should think if we can make it digital, it's beneficial because we can then maybe use that for something else later on. The third thing is the handle. In the handle, it says, make it easy to do well. That's sort of my aim with any tool. The tool should aim for the sales consultant or the team to make it easy for them to do well. Otherwise, we will not succeed. Selling is a matter of creating confidence for the buyer. And if you feel unsafe, if it's difficult, the seller will avoid to do it. So we need to try to make things easy, and we need to try to do something that makes them do it well. So that's my main starting point. Okay, is that's fine?
Yes, clear.
In a sense, I actually have sort of, for me, the 3 areas that I would look into. Now, please bear in mind that there are loads of technical tools out there. You'll see Nancy Nardin and Scott Brinker and a guy I know, Jakob. They have fantastic overviews of technologies, and they know far more about that. I'm more in what I see out there in practice and the core elements of the toolbox that I see. The starting point for me would be we need to help the seller, the sales consultant, the sales team to have an overview and to be able to manage themselves. And there, we tend to make it complicated, and I'll walk into that. The second part will be about personal outreach. How do we enable people to engage with others? The third one would be how can we help then sales consultants to have a fantastic dialogue with the clients. So that's the 3 areas that I decided was the goals where I would love to have some tools for. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll simply walk you through what I see would be the main toolbox within those 3 areas. And the first one actually being to get this overview and self-management, I see the CRM. CRM often is, to be honest, something people see as a must-do thing. It eats people's energy, and that's a pity. It should give energy. It should be something that sets a direction and help you do stuff. So we need to have more the people in mind when we design those things, to make it easy for them to get the overview. And when they sit with a computer and open their CRM, they feel engaged and feel energized because they know what to do and they have the overview, and we need to help them do that. I put some kind of small hearts in there because I have some favorites. To me, it's extremely important that it's very visual oriented, and easy to maneuver in. For small companies, I think tools like Pipedrive, it could be other ones in that sense, are brilliant, simple tools to make that work, very easy to work with and so forth, with the overview, with the actions that you decide to do. And the most important thing is actually not the tool, is that you have a sales process and a structure you decide to work on, and then any tool can actually help you do that.
Yeah.
If you're Morten, yeah.
And Morten, what I liked, just to comment here, because this was also one of the hot topics in the session you were leading with Salesforce and Microsoft, and I think and all the others as well. What they all aligned on is that the CRM should be the single source of truth. That the CRM should be seen, as it is in many companies, should not be seen as a burden. Especially sales a lot of times sees it as burden, but as you said, it should be something that gives you energy, that helps you, that is visualized. And I think this was one of the takeaways I thought was super interesting. Of course, also something we're trying to do with our PDO. But I will let you continue. Sorry.
Yeah, and just to flatter you a little bit, and Peter, to the right, I kind of draw a couple of the things that you have for bigger companies where you have more like account-based selling. Also there you can work with a very visual oriented approach to helping the sales team to organize the information and structure so that you can plan well. So I kind of like, I don't know the tools in detail there, but I like the way of working where we make things visual in order to help sales do their best.
And I think what they also discussed about building up on these tools, what I think also was one of the core messages they sent is that the CRM should be kind of the core, and then depending on what you need, you add integrations and tools on top of it to actually kind of get the best out of the CRM and get the right toolbox that you and your sales team end up needing. So exactly. Very interesting.
So to me, it is actually there are still companies working with our CRM, and maybe they do well. But I like to have, that is the starting point, to have an overview for the individual, but also for the company to be able to predict their sales and have some guidance for where are we heading, for sure. No doubt about that. So the second part is more about the personal outreach. Whereas CRM, you need to align with one system, right? And then find a way to structure your sales process and put it into a pipeline and definitions and how you want to work with it, no doubt. In the personal outreach, I think it's far more fragmented, or you need different tools because people are very, very different in how they work and what they like to do. Naturally, there are so I'm writing there are multiple tools up there. Naturally, the phone, the emails, the meeting devices you might have. I personally think there's a lot to gain in here's the LinkedIn, but it really means social media activities, how you can drive that. Normally, I would think that you have marketing in helping with marketing automation to create some content and also leads. And that content and so forth in sales, we can use to our benefit a lot within working professionally with social media in sales. how to engage with clients, that there are a lot to gain if that is taken on seriously. Not as if the sales reps should simply like and share content from the company, but they should see it as their own brand, but naturally linked to the company they love to work for, and they can get a lot out of that. And too many don't see that because they are not trained. I'm not a professional trainer in that, but I know there are fantastic companies helping people and companies do that better. The other thing, and that was part of what was on the scene at Set Sales, was actually to do personal videos. So instead of writing emails and stuff like that, why not take a small video? There are apps for your phone or whatever. It takes 1 minute to do an authentic short video telling, hi, thank you for meeting you. I just wanted to highlight, and there are some people will be brilliant at doing that, will gain a fantastic, better, authentic access to the client, whereas for others it might be scary and maybe they should do something else. So I see a lot of different tools here that could all work well, and I think a company should allow for different tools in this kind of in this area of the toolbox.
And what's interesting here, when in our last LinkedIn Live, we were talking with Immaculata Betic from Salesforce.com, and she said before the pandemic, a lot of times it was an average 7-8 touch points you needed to get with the client to actually have a response, and after the pandemic, it's up to 15 touch points. And I think this is also where this gets so relevant, and you really need to use all the different channels and get these touch points with potential clients.
Yeah, and actually work together very closely with marketing to make it right and make it something that is not too complicated for you to do in order to reach your accounts out there. Yeah. Okay, let's dive into the third one. Now, after we have engaged and so forth, we want to engage for real. Now it's really about getting into negotiations and talks about how we can help you out. So I define that as value dialogue. So value for me is really the key here, value selling or value dialogue. How can we enable the sales people to do even better in doing that and doing that with their clients? So here we talk meetings. It can be online meetings, it can be physical meetings. It doesn't really matter in that sense. But how can we support and enable salespeople to do it how the best way possible? And there, as you said, I started out presenter with some other guys some 8-9 years ago, I think. It actually started, if you look up here, we have the iPad. It more or less started out for me personally when I saw Steve Jobs on the scene presenting the iPad, and whereas he looked into a paper and showed this fantastic device to look into a book or paper, I saw a sales tool. I saw a way to share something with a client instead of hiding behind a computer or just talking without any support. So I saw some potential there that I really like and I love to see. So when salespeople walk around with a computer, for me, it's like being naked because they can't really use that unless they show it on the screen and then it's a presentation. I love a device like an iPad where you can engage with a client directly. So that's one point. And there you see many sales enablement platforms from different countries around the world, and they are doing fantastically well, where you organize all your content you have, make it digital, you can track on everything and so forth. You learn a lot. And for me, naturally, as a co-founder or presenter, I like that a lot because there you can build engaging stuff. So you don't just take over PowerPoint, you build engaging stuff, business calculators, interesting stuff, configurators, whatever you want to do to show and build something with your client. And so that's my favorite, but there are other great tools out there. If someday we could have a total topic about how to do this, and I would love to share some of the examples I have on this. The other one I put here is actually the Blackboard. I mean, those who can go on the Blackboard with their customers, engage with them and draw the problems and find out the solution and path for that, they do extremely well. It's not for everybody to do, but it's a pretty analog thing to do. But you engage with the client, and that's really what I want to do. And then you take a photo afterwards, and you have it digital anyways. So for me, value dialogue is about engaging with your client either through like a blackboard thing or working with a client like on a tablet. I fancy that a lot. So
Perfect.
those three areas, if we just sort of put it together, is really, for me, the main things we have to work on to help them deliver a better job. CRM is the core, and everything should be linked to that, whether it's outreach tools or the value selling tools. Naturally, marketing content from the and marketing automation works also here to help sales, but these are more for the sales directly to use and engage with. So that's how I see it.
And following up on this framework, and maybe this is a bit of a difficult question, but I could imagine that people that are watching this maybe now ask themselves, okay, how can I actually assess the toolbox that I'm having or that we are having in my company? And I guess there must be also some kind of understanding or an awareness of, okay, what do we have right now, and where do we want to go, and where do we want to be at some point? What do you suggest companies to assess their toolbox?
I mean, this is my understanding of a toolbox. Every company should sort of get an overview of how they see it, because it might be different. It might be other things that are relevant. But if we take this as a starting point, then I would probably look at it like this. Start with the foundation. Do we know what is our sales velocity? Is that in place? Do we have a sales strategy? Because you look at the sales box or the toolbox, now you need to have something that you sort of find out this is fine. Okay. Then we don't need to discuss that anymore. Then I would look into what are the key goals for us. Like I have 3 areas in the center here. Where are we on that? Is that the right things that we look for before you go deeper on that? Then I would look into, in this case, overview on self-management. How are we doing on CRM? It's not only how do we have a system, it's do we have a sales process? Do we have a way of working at it? Do we have definitions so everybody finds it logical to work with? Have we managed to make it so that people get this overview and feeling of being energized? From a scale from 1 to 10, where are we? Yeah. And the same I would do for the outreach part. I would do it for the value dialogue part. Are we supporting them well enough out there? How are they doing? Are they running wildly on their own with PowerPoints? Are we supporting an engaged dialogue with the client? I would go into those areas and find out how are we doing. Then I would look for sure and have the overall idea about making it easy to do well. I don't think we should make something that makes them do things perfect as such, because often it gets too complicated. So it's a balance between ease and do it well that we need to strive, because we want all salespeople to be in there, not only those who really like tech or something like that. We want all of them to go in there. So it needs to be easy for all to do well and better than they did before. And then I would look for the digital part. Are we trying to do something from which we over time can learn? Then I know it's a big benefit. So I'll look at the status on it. I'll look at what would have most impact if we change something, and then I would make a plan for how to proceed from there.
And let's say there comes up like a certain need, yeah. So of course one thing is to have a toolbox. The other thing is to kind of implement a sales toolbox successfully. Do you have recommendations, and maybe can you also touch upon the change management process that comes with implementing a toolbox?
It's funny you ask, and then I put down this, and then I have it right. No, I knew you would ask that one, right?
It's like you're reading my mind, Morten.
I read many books. At least I run through them to see if I get inspired. I read one by somebody called Jamie Smart. I don't think it's a fantastic name for it doesn't sound so serious as it is, but it's absolutely brilliant. Clarity, it's called, and there is a simple formula in there. Clarity plus action gives results. And to me, it just makes so much sense. So if everybody aligns and knows there is clarity, and then you really say, okay, then we put action into it, then things will happen. What is important in the clarity definition, as it's done in the book, is clarity is just as well about finding out what not to do. So I would call what he calls noise. So yeah. I used it in my work also with teams to say, when some new idea came in or something came up, is this just noise, or is it something that helps us towards our goal? And very often we could simply say, shit, it's just noise, let's leave it, So clarity should help you also to eliminate a lot of stuff that is just simply noise. What I've learned since then is that this might be a little bit too simplistic. So I added a bit of stuff to it, because we need to build in readiness in the organization. So if we all align on, and it's not just the leader, everybody aligns and get clarity about something, then we need to build readiness. And the more complicated stuff it is, the more time we need to spend on this, both on a personal level. Do we know what to do and who should do what and so forth? A process level, do we have defined ways of doing things, so we put it into the way we do it? And do we have some IT to support it? Do we have systems that support it instead of making it difficult to do? So readiness is about preparing for it to happen, because otherwise it probably won't happen. So my thought on this theme is really start with clarity. Like, look at the toolbox you have today, make an assessment, find out what's important for you, and then create a joint clarity, not only for top management, but for everybody who is involved in this. Then build readiness by accepting there is a system, accept part of it, there is a process a part of it, there is a people part of it, and then naturally move on with it, and you will see some results out there. So is it a change model? It's more an understanding about how things should be put together, I think, than it's a real change model.
Nice. And what we kind of did today, Morten, we kind of worked our way backwards. Actually, we started with the tools. We then looked into assessing the tools that a company might have, and potentially creating awareness and understanding of what needs to be included. Then we went into the implementation, and I would like to maybe take a step back and go back to your consultancy, the Let's Change Sales consulting group. The question, and you're always working with companies, and you're digitizing their sales processes. But when you're working with these companies, what are the challenges you see? What are the challenges they run into?
Well, maybe the first challenge is for many that they don't know what's possible. So if you don't know what's possible, how can you make a plan for what to do? So at least where I come out, the starting point is we know what to do and how to do it, and have done for many years. But they don't. If we talk going digital, they don't know what's possible. And I would love to get this vision, a perspective in before you design some new stuff you want to do. So that is by far the starting point. From a leadership point of view, I would say that's the first challenge. The next challenge is for sure when you've done it and you've implemented some stuff, it is a change aspect because we are people. And as I said, at a starting point in sales, we need to feel confidence about everything we do, otherwise we don't. So we need to have focus on the people aspect of the change aspect of delivering something and trying to help them. So it's about coming back to that, making it pretty simple, make it easy to do something that is much better than you had before. So we need to see the smiles of people when we do change. We need to see that they feel we help them, and don't just put digital in it. It's about like Uber came with their app. When I first used the Uber app, it was delicious for me as a user because I could see where the Uber app was going, taxi, where is it? Is it coming? I felt, it needs to create new kind of value.
Yeah.
And then it's more efficient and you get data out of it as well. So start with the user and get them involved and engaged. Then you can better change habits and behavior over time.
And this is actually already leading right into my last and final question, and I think you already answered it. The last one would have been, hey, what are the main learnings or recommendations you have for sales leaders out there? And yeah, I think you already
but dare to look at your company, at the sales area, and look if digital can also help you, not by thinking about getting data, but thinking about helping your people having even better sales behavior. And here, when we talk sales, it's actually not only sales, it's after sales, it's customer service. It's all of those guys and people having engagement with their clients. Look at the touch points they have, see if we can do something that creates value for the customers and your people, make it easier for them to do well. Then you have a fantastic chance to deliver value for your company.
And Morten, I'm looking into the comments, and besides one great comment from my colleague Nikolai Lund complimenting us, there is a comment or a question. Who's the author of the book you mentioned?
Jamie Smart. If you talk about the book called Clarity, Jamie Smart.
And we will share it in the comments. We will also share the framework, of course. So whoever is interested in that, please drop a comment. We're coming to an end, Morten. Thank you so much for being here with us today. It was a big pleasure. You had a great session at the conference. Having you here again, it's amazing. In case anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the easiest way to reach out?
I mean, through LinkedIn, start there, or my mail, MJ, Let's Change Sales. But LinkedIn is a fantastic start. I like to connect with people there, and then let's see what happens.
Perfect. Also, everyone watching, big pleasure. Thank you for joining in today. Make sure to follow our PDO. Our next LinkedIn Live will be in January with Get Accept. So stay tuned, and thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Max. Fantastic.
Thank you, Morten. Bye-bye.